The Republican candidate for mayor, Bill Pepitone, has a name that rings a bell. He's Joe's nephew, as in Joe Pepitone of the Yankees. Bill Pepitone, though, is a former member of the NYPD with ideas on bringing New York City back from what he says is the brink. There are a lot of names in the race for mayor, but Bill Pepitone says, don't call him a long shot.
I don't believe there are any favorites. There are names, but with those names come a lot of baggage. A lot of those people that everyone knows who they are. A lot of them have done nothing for New York City, have been a part of New York City's decline. If they're going to sit back and run on their name and try and run on their record, which I wouldn't advise, we're going to outwork them. We're going to go out. We're going to meet people. We've already been doing it. We're talking to people, hearing what their problems are, what their concerns are, and we're letting people know what we can do to fix it and make their lives better. And that's how we're going to even the playing field.
You have a long career with the NYPD, 30 years. You're now retired. Are you running on that experience?
Absolutely. I think public safety is the number one issue in New York City right now. I was a police officer under the Mayor Giuliani administration, Mayor Bloomberg, Commissioner Bratton, Commissioner Carrick. I watched as the city came out of the Dinkins era and immediately started enforcing the broken windows theory, quality of life enforcement, and I was a part of that turnaround under Mayor Giuliani. I know what the city needs. I know we're at a very similar time right now in our city's history, and I'm going to use my experience and just my overall belief in the city and belief in what works to turn things around.
How do you make those things that we're talking about that were used in the past work in 2020? How do you make them fair and, frankly, meet some of the standards that have been set by these court cases about things like stop and frisk over the years?
I think you have to communicate. We have to communicate better with the people. We have to make them understand, especially with stop, question, and I like to call it stop and question and not stop, question, and frisk, because the frisk portion only comes into play when a police officer believes that his life is in danger, that the person may have a weapon. That obviously is not the case in every stop. I believe what happened back then that really caused a lot of friction between the police and the communities were that police officers' performance was being dictated and being evaluated by the number of stops they were making each day in each shift. That put pressure on police officers to make stops that perhaps weren't necessary and perhaps they wouldn't have. So we want to use stop and question as a tool that we can give to our police officers, that we can give to our law enforcement to help make the city safe, to take firearms off the street, to take violent felons off the street, not to do it as a activity report quota, so to speak. And I know everybody hates that word, but that's a fact. And we have to get that message out to people that when police officers are making a stop, they're doing it to keep the community safe and for no other reason.
It bears repeating here that the NYPD has long insisted that quotas are not any kind of official departmental policy. Bill Pepitone believes that wasteful spending on social programs around New York City can be redirected to help mitigate the city's current fiscal crisis.